Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. My name is Allison, for those of you who just might be joining us. This is our 25-minute, took me a minute there, 25-minute all-level flow. So just nice and easy, just get you kind of up, moving, stretched out, ready to go for the day. All right, so we will get started. Let's go on our backs. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring the bottoms of the feet together. Those knees can come out a little bit wider, so we're coming into that butterfly stretch. And we'll start to roll it down onto our backs. Now, if this butterfly stretch is a little bit too much for you, you can always just bring the knees together and feet a little bit wider. So this is definitely going to be a more relaxing posture if that's what you want. Or if you want to get right into it with a stretch, go ahead and bring those knees wide. Okay, so one hand on the stomach, one hand's gonna rest on the chest. Try and pull that low back down towards the ground if it's not already. So a little bit of engagement through the core. Now we'll take that big breath in through the nose. So the abs are gonna stay tight. We still wanna expand through that rib cage. So all the way down to the lowest part of the lungs, the middle, and all the way up into the collarbone. So that big breath in. And exhaling all of that breath out. Taking a really big breath in. And exhale. A couple more times. Just taking a really big breath in. And exhale. Letting yourself relax. Soften into the mat on that exhale. Just going a few more on your own. And then start to draw those knees together. You can use those hands to help if you need to. Bring those arms out to a T, or you can even feel go with those arms out. Just dropping those knees over to that right side. And inhale, bring it to center. And then exhale those knees over to that left side. So we keep that core tight as we find that twist. And inhale, bring it back to center. And exhale it over to the right side. Inhale, center. Over to that left side. Inhale, center. Again, over to the right. And center. And to the left. And center. Okay, hug those knees into the chest. You can give it a little rock from side to side. Now a little more active twist here. So stack those knees right over those hips. Shins are parallel to the ground. Again, we'll bring those arms out to that T. Okay, and then we'll just draw those knees over to that right side. So the knees are gonna hover. We're using that core. Okay, that left shoulder is pressing down to the mat. Inhale, bring those knees back to center. And exhale, the knees over to that left side. So again, right shoulder stays down. We're just hovering those knees, using that core. Then inhale it back to center. And then over to that right side. Head back to center. And then over to, move over to that left side. Bring it back to center. All right, go ahead and plant those feet down. You can also see me. There we go. Okay, press into those feet. Draw that low back down towards the mat. Hands can just come down by your side, but we don't want to press into the hands too much, okay, or really even at all. We really want this all to be done from our hips. Okay, so press into those feet, grip those toes, roll those hips up. So expanding out through those hip flexors. You might even feel a little bit of a stretch through those quads if they're a little bit tight today. Good, keep pressing, lifting up a little bit higher. Now think about drawing that rib cage down, scooping that tailbone up towards the ceiling. With that nice neutral spine, that neutral pelvic tilt. And slowly roll it back down. Crossing that right ankle over that left thigh, flexing that foot, and we're going to hug that left knee into the chest. So grabbing onto that left hamstring, hug that knee in. So we want to keep that tailbone down. And so I know I normally say press that low back into the mat, but now I want you to try and lift that low back off of the mat. So if we lift the low back up and ground that tailbone down, you're going to get a much bigger stretch through that left outer hip. Now, if we can hold that position and you want to still a deeper stretch, maybe you grab onto those shins. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and release that foot down. Let's just go ahead and switch sides. So crossing that left ankle over, hug that knee in. So we'll grab onto that right hamstring. So again, flexing that left foot, tailbone down, low back is lifting. And then maybe if you want, you can grab onto those shins. But again, that positioning of the spine doesn't change. We still want that tailbone down, lumbar spine lifting. And go ahead and lower that foot down. Go ahead and uncross it. We'll hug those knees and rock yourself forward and back. Okay, coming up to that seated position. And then roll yourself all the way over onto those hands and knees. Okay, so hands are right underneath the shoulders, knees are right underneath those hips. On that inhale, we're going to drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we gaze up. Then exhale, we'll round the spine, press the shoulder blades away, draw that belly up and in. And inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. And exhale, round. Good, inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. Okay, now bring it into that neutral spine. We're going to send that right leg straight back. Flex that foot, point those toes down. Exhale, curl that knee into the nose. We're going to step that foot through. So we're coming into our lunge. Inhale, pressing those hips forward as we reach those arms up and back. So again, keeping that nice neutral spine that we talked about in the hip bridge. And so tailbone is swooping forward as that rib cage pulls down. And then we'll press those hips forward. Arms are reaching up and back. And one more breath. Now bring those hands to heart center, and we're going to twist. We're going to hook that left tricep across that right knee. So lifting through the chest. So you press those hips forward and then find a little bit more twist. And so again, make sure we're really strong through that right knee. You don't want that knee collapsing in as we put pressure on it. We think about gripping those toes, pressing that knee out. We'll bring it back to center, straightening that front leg as we pull those toes back into that half split. Now we'll rebend into that knee. And send that leg back to kneeling. We're going to go to the other side. Sending that left leg straight back. Hugging that knee into the chest. And then step that foot through. Inhale, we're going to rise up. So rib cage is pulling down nice and tight. Tailbone is pulling down. And we'll press those hips forward. So not changing anything in our back and our hips. Just trying to find that nice stretch through this right hip flexor. Good, now bring those hands to heart center. Start to lean forward. Then we'll twist. Right elbow comes across that left thigh. Again, strong through that left thigh. Don't let it collapse in. Pressing into those palms, lifting the chest. Hips are pressing forward so we get a little bit more twist. Now bring it back through center. Lower those hands down, straighten that front leg as we pull those toes back. And now we bend into that knee. Go ahead and step it back to kneeling. Curl those toes under and then lift those hips up into that downward facing dog. So you can take a minute, just pedal those feet out. Maybe a little sway to those hips. Let's really grip those palms into the mat, pressing that belly back to those thighs. Tailbone is pressing up towards the ceiling, so making that nice inverted V shape, and then you can bend those knees as much as you need to, and then press those heels down towards the mat. And inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, stepping those feet to the top of the mat. Finding that flat back on that inhale. And exhale, slide those hands down as we fold. Just let that head hang heavy. If you need a little extra support on that low back, go ahead and just bring those hands up to the shins. And now bend those knees, flatten out that back. We're going to come all the way up to standing. So reach it up nice and tall. Interlace those fingers. We're going to bend it over to that right side. Inhale it back up and exhale it over to the left side. Inhale, reach it back up, drawing those elbows down. So feel going them out. Bring those hands all the way down behind the back, interlacing those fingers. So again, we want the palms to come together to touch. Start by just drawing those knuckles down first, opening up through that chest, and then maybe those hands come away from those hips a little bit. So pull that rib cage down, bring those arms back. And then release those arms up. And exhale, fold. Finding that flat back on that inhale. Then exhale, just plant those hands, step those feet back to our downward facing dog. Okay, now from down dog, we're going to come into that lunge. You're just repeating that series, so stepping that right foot through to the right thumb, back knee lowers down, inhaling those arms up. So rib cage pulls down as we press those hips forward. Now bringing those hands to heart center as we twist, hooking that left tricep across that knee. Lift the chest as we twist. And now bring it back to center, straightening that front leg, pull those toes back. Okay, so on this one, I really want that nice flat back. So you might even have to come up where your hands are on your shins. And then we're gonna twist. Right arm is gonna reach up. So just move up towards that right thumb. Keep pulling this right hip back. That's when we twist. That hip likes to find that path of least resistance. So pulling that hip back, keep that flat back, reaching up with that right hand. And lower that hand down. We bend into that front knee as we plant those hands, sending it back downward facing dog. Now let's step back, left foot through, that left thumb, back knee lowers down. Inhaling those arms up. Hold that ribcage down, press those hips forward. Now bring those hands to heart center as we twist. So hooking that right tricep across that left thigh. Lifting through the chest. We find a little bit more twist. Good, now bring it back to center. Lower those hands down. Straighten that front leg. Pull those toes back. So again, finding that nice flat back. The hands might kind of up to those knees or shins. Now, right hand plants, left arm reaches up. As we gaze back towards that left thumb, keep grounding that left hip down and back. And now lower that hand down. We bend into that knee, plant those hands, stepping it back, downward facing dog. And making our way into that pigeon, so bringing that right knee to that right wrist. So it's going to come across, sliding that left leg back as we lower down onto those forearms, resting your head down. Now, if this is too much for your hips or your knees, one, you can, if you just happen to have a block handy, you can slide it underneath your hip here. Okay, or if that's not accessible, just go with the starting pose of on our backs. And then here. So this is a modification for that pigeon if that full pigeon is not quite accessible. Anyway, find a position that works best for you. We're going to hold it for a minute or two. And then slowly come back to those hands. And then send that leg back to that downward facing dog. And then we'll send that left knee to that left wrist. Foot comes across. And slide that right leg back. And lower it down onto those forearms. And then we'll rest our head down to our arms. Again, grabbing that block if you need it, or again, going onto your back. So maybe you have a knee injury on one side and not the other, okay? So if this is your injured side, okay, go ahead and just take a moment, go on the back. So it's okay to do different variations of this posture for different sides. Couple more breaths. And then come up onto those hands. Extending that leg back to a downward facing dog. Yes, we'll lower onto those knees. Coming into that child's pose, so toes together. Knees can come a little bit wider. You're going to reach those arms forward. And now I want you to flip those palms to point up. So really soften the chest in between those knees. And we'll bend into those elbows, just patting yourself on the back. So bringing those hands in between the shoulder blades. Walk those elbows forward and soften that chest down. And extend those arms back out. Just sit off to one side. We'll finish off in the seated position. So you can just reaching those arms up overhead. Exhale, we'll twist it over to that right side. So sitting tall on that inhale. Exhale deeper into that twist. And inhale, bring it back to center. Reach those arms up. And exhale, twist it to that other side. Good, bring it back to center. Reach those arms up. Exhale, side stretch over to the right. Inhale it back up. And exhale it over to the left. Good, inhale, reach it back up. And then just go ahead and lower those hands down onto the knees. We're just gonna pause it for a few breaths here. Closing down those eyes, sitting up nice and tall. Just focusing on that inhale. Big breath in through the nose, filling those lungs. And that exhale. Just a couple more, just like that. Those eyes open. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Have a great day. And then again, I'll be back tomorrow evening at 4:45. So it's going to be, again, in all levels, more of a flow type style class. You'll get up, get moving a little bit more, but we'll add a little bit more modifications to it. All right. Thanks, guys.